right, very good. I'll go ahead and call us to order, and we've got one member online, and that was notified, correct? So he can vote, correct? All right, very good. So let's go ahead and do roll call first.
Chair Lane,
Yes, here.
Commissioner Levinson,
Here.
Commissioner Tonelli,
Here.
Commissioner Polito,
Here.
and Commissioner Bryant is absent.
All right, then the next item on the agenda, public comments, items not on the agenda. It's for projects that have been through, bringing up an item that people have, or that we might want. And every once in a while, the people, what a great job we're doing. We don't hold our breath on that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public that aren't on our agenda, and nobody's rushing in. Is that correct? Nobody's online, so I'll go ahead and close the public comment section and bring it the hearing. And there are two items on the agenda. And the methodology on the items will be: first, we'll hear an overview from staff member who's being responsible for the project. We'll go ahead and then have questions from the staff, and then we'll open up with the applicant or the representative. Public comment, bring it back. Question and action. And we'll do that. If it comes in, fine, I'll go through that again. So engage process, they're left out. That then will have the item A. That's it. We have a question for a special structure. Mary Lane. Okay, good. That's back live. All right.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Radha Hayagreev. I'm the consulting senior planner. We're talking about a special structures permit for a detached garage that would be requesting for a reduced front setback at 72 Barry Lane. And the subject property is a 1.13 acres. It's an interior flag lot. I'm going to jump to the location. And it is zoned R1A. There's an existing house, guest house, and other accessory structures that's currently on the parcel. We have the applicant amongst us to answer any questions. Atherton's Municipal, as part of the project itself, that when it came to staff, they have several parts of it that were part of the request, but tonight's request is a discretionary action for a special structures permit only for the detached garage. This is item number C in front of you. They're also doing a second floor bedroom addition. They're also converting the existing garage into a unit ADU. And they're also doing a detached ADU that is converted, that the existing guest house is converted into a detached ADU. All the detached ADU, the junior ADU are all staff level approval permits, so we were able to review it, and we are now bringing the special structures for the new garage addition to the Planning Commission. The section 17.40.040 is basically saying that all detached garages must be set back at least 120 feet back from the property line or 30 feet behind the front line of the main structure, whichever is less. On flag lots, it also says that they are all applicants are allowed to align the front setback of these accessory structures with the main building, and that would be upon the issue of special structures permits, and which is what we are reviewing today. This is the overall site plan. I have a better view of the site plan here. So this is the entire scope of work in front of you. Everything hatched in the dark gray is what they're proposing with the new scope of work with our project description this time. And the detached 4-car garage, as you see it, is being, what it is currently is a 2-car garage, and they're going to expand it to make it a 4-car garage. And they're moving forward towards the main house to try and align it and receive a special structures permit for that. They also, the site actually has an easement along the Atherton Channel next to it, which they're staying clear of. And we have the Public Works Department that has reviewed the setback of both the addition project and the garage project to make sure that they align and they are approved for all the required setback from the top of the channel line. And at this point, there are no other impacts to any trees on site. The maximum height and the sidewall height and the side setback height and the distance from the main building, all of them conform. The only exception is for the front required setback. They are they're proposing 62 feet, and this 62 feet is approvable under the special structures permit in the code. For the Planning Commission to approve the special structures permit, they are required to make certain findings which staff has reviewed as part of the report analysis. One of the first findings is that the proposed building or structure will not negatively impact the neighboring properties with respect to privacy and view. At this point, it conforms to the required side yard setback and also the distances from the channel. It's a detached garage. It doesn't have any openings. It's a less than 15 feet, and it doesn't have any impact to neighbors' privacy or view. There's already required landscape screening on this site, which is pretty mature. So at this point, this finding can be made, and staff recommends that the Planning Commission make the same finding. Finding B is that it would comply with all other development standards and such as the height and landscape screening and other limitations and restrictions that are provided. As we had seen in the table previously, it complies with everything else except this special structures permit for the front setback. And a staff review is that this finding number B can be met. And that the third finding is that the granting of special structures permit is consistent with the objectives of the general plan and the title and the zoning title. And staff has made specific analysis for the findings that it would comply with as it remains as the existing house and also the proposed 4-car garage. The general overview from these 3 findings is that staff recommends approval of the special structures permits, and staff's recommendation is that the special structures permit for flag lots were written for cases like these where the site becomes very tight and they have the channel and all the other aspects that they're trying to program on the site, and the applicants are leveraging that, and we're able to make the findings, and we would like to conclude that Planning Commission approves the special structure permit. And that concludes my presentation.
Questions? Bob, do you have anything?
Nope.
And just to double check, everything conforms with respect to the Atherton Channel, the setbacks and things like that. That's
Yes.
my major concern, is making sure everything is safe there and structurally safe and sound.
Absolutely. We made Public Works one of our reviewers, and I have a written letter from Robert and the assistant engineer that confirms and cites the section of the code, and I can forward it to you. And I can share it in a minute. Give me a second.
And I'm still having a tough time kind of visualizing the area for the special structures permit. So I'm looking at the detached garage, and we're making an exception on the front side of that garage.
Yes, let me walk you through what that looks like. So do you see where the light gray is basically the required 30 feet behind the main building setback. So this is the front setback line, and this 72 is basically from the existing garage. What they are requesting is that this addition, which is in dark gray, is kind of bringing the garage move out. And in order staff cannot approve that. We can approve only this type of garage in the light gray, which is set back from the main house. So what they're doing is they're making the garage bigger and bringing the setback to, actually it's not aligning with the front At
Sure.
the main house, it's 2 feet back.
Feedback, right?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Better position, garage.
well, I think the current garage is meeting that, the fact that it's an accessory structure and it's set back from the main house. This garage will look like it's almost aligning, but it's 2 feet set back from the main house. And this is the junior ADU, I believe, a garage too, that they're converting, or a bedroom, right? And is an existing 1-car garage that they're converting to a junior ADU.
Okay. Thank you.
The lot's a little usually shaped. I'm actually familiar with the property that. So see why. Just the way,
Right.
little unusually shaped. Certainly wouldn't.
Right. It is, and also it's a flag lot. And these kind of special structures for accessory structures are written up specifically for flag lots and more challenging flag lots that there are quite a few in town.
Right, any other? Public comment section? We good?
What number is that?
Okay, green light. Okay, again, my name's John Daisy King. I'm an architect. Structures permit. I think the staff report and my letters outline. issues are.
Speak into the microphone, please.
Sorry. Yeah, I say the staff report and my letter to you pretty much outlines what, why we're asking for the special structures permit. Addition of the JADU, conversion to an ADU, constraints on the lot, needing to replace the 1-car garage, making into a JADU. Certainly necessitates us to expand the 2-car garage into a 4-car garage. And the best way to do that and meet all compliances is to expand to the front. That's why we're asking for the permit. So I'll leave it at that. And if anyone have any questions, I'm happy.
Thank you.
No.
Bob, you're good?
Yep.
Is there anybody else here on this item?
I have an update. I have the letter from Public Works, if I can share that.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So you just hit share again,
No one's,
share again, and it can change the window.
go.
I have 72 Barry's approval from our engineer, and that the project meets the separation requirement as per all the provisions of the code. And that was the basis of which we have approved. From planning side, just reviewed the zoning setback, and they have reviewed it for the separation distance from the channel. And that was when we even agreed to move this forward as a special structures permit to you.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Bob, you got anything?
Yeah, speak into your microphone, Eric. I can't hear you most of the time.
Oh, sorry about that. I was pointing the wrong direction. Yeah, I don't see anything. This one. Bob, you have anything?
No, nothing.
All right, anybody else? All right, good. Then let's go. Let's need a motion.
I'll make the motion. I move that the planning commission approve the special structures permit to allow a 1,058 square foot detached garage located 2 feet behind the front wall of the main residence, where 30 feet is required for a total of 62 feet from the northern property line, based on the findings in the staff report and subject to the conditions of approval certificate.
For a second.
Second.
All right, I'm gonna take Bob. Record. All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor, let's do it by roll call because he's on the phone.
All right. Commissioner Tonelli,
Aye.
Commissioner Levinson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Polito,
Aye.
Commissioner, Chair Lane.
Aye. And Bob was the second. Second.
Okay.
Both went, but I wanted to make sure he got he gets credit for being on the scene, right? All right. All right, thank you. Good luck. All right, next item is item 3B, request for heritage tree removal at 50 Lilac Drive. And Brittany, is that yours?
Yes. Yes, thank you. Town Planner Brittany Bendix. So this is a request for the heritage tree removal of a coast redwood at 50 Lilac Drive. I have the general plan information up on the screen before you to just kind of walk through the issues that I've raised in the staff report. The subject tree is tree number 10 that's identified here. Going back a little bit, the site has been under development since roughly 2021, when it last appeared before the Planning Commission for a variance request that would facilitate the garage that's shown on the bottom right corner of the screen. One of the justifications for the variance was to limit the impacts to trees. And so I thought that that was important to note here. As you're aware, I was not the town planner at that time, so I don't know the intricacies of that decision. But I did want to raise that to your attention because throughout the next couple of years after the Planning Commission did grant that variance and permits were issued, it was brought to the town arborist's attention in September of last year that tree number 10 had been damaged because of work that was done without benefit of a permit to accommodate a patio and outdoor kitchen area. The owners and applicants have since worked with the town arborist to ensure that the damage has been addressed as readily as possible, but they are now seeking removal of that tree prior to submitting an application to then go ahead and develop the outdoor patio. So we do have the heritage tree removal request in front of us. The applicant has not yet pursued filing a permit to do the work that they had started. So with that said, our recommendation has been to deny the application request. This is consistent with the town arborist review and then my review as town planner, really kind of hinging towards the notion that work was done beyond the scope of approved permits, which has been a subject of concern by the Planning Commission over at least the last 6 months, as well as the notion that the preservation of the tree did play some role in the variance decision. I thought that that was important to bring back to you and give you the ability to add discretion to. So that's all I need to say on this application. I'm available for questions. The town arborist is available for questions. And then the applicants are also here to kind of speak to their justification for the removal.
I have some questions, but Bob, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
I wasn't able to visit the site, unfortunately, because I'm out of town, but am I right that on the neighboring property, as well as this property, there's kind of a redwood forest, a lot of redwood trees? Is that correct?
Yeah, so the neighbor on the backside does have a lot of large redwood trees. So when the variance was issued, the applicant also got a staff exception for tree 10, and then tree 3 and tree 5. Tree 3 and tree 5 are on the neighbor's side. They're not marked on this site plan, but they're the ones closest to the garage on the neighbor's side. So TPZ exceptions were issued for those at the time of the variance
For the garage, right?
for the garage.
Yeah.
So my second question is, as I understand it, because they did damage to the tree we're talking about, they paid a fine. Is that correct?
Yeah, so our town ordinance says that if you damage a heritage tree, you pay the appraised value of the tree divided by 2. And the applicant has paid the full amount and they meted all the criteria for that. So that case has been closed. There's no further issues with the site in regards to that item.
What would the fine have been if they'd taken down the tree?
What, can you say the question again?
What would the fine have been if they had taken down that tree?
It would be double, so it would be 20 something thousand
Yeah,
dollars.
24,000 or
Yeah.
23 and change. Yeah.
Because they paid a fee around 11,500 for the damage.
And they've also paid to request this variant or this
And
variance.
they also paid to come in front of this hearing. Yep.
How much was that?
Brittany?
200 an additional site.
I can look into that. Give me 1 second. I need to
Right.
take down my.
Well, I mean, was it a lot? Was it thousands of dollars? I think
It
it's
would have
quite,
been, it would have been a couple $1,000s at
yeah,
least.
that's what I thought. Okay.
And then they also had to pay the citations, but the citations are citations that Lisa issues. And those are for things like parking issues. But for this, it was because they took down the fencing that was around the tree during the construction to build the patio
Okay.
with their kitchen.
So I'll finish my questions and comments. Do I have, I guess I should stick to questions and.
Yeah, let's stick to questions and then.
Yeah, I'll pass on the time.
Okay.
now.
Any other questions? I've got questions.
I would just like a clarification on the chronology of the process again, Brittany, if you could. I'm sorry, but just to make sure I have it down. It's the chronology of this saga.
They got the variance in 2021.
Did you want me to go through the permits in the staff report?
Well, just
Okay.
just real quick, item by item, just a quick chronology of.
Sure. So
Thumbnail.
the variance came before the planning commission in the fall of 2021.
Right.
Permits were then issued to start work in 2022 and 2023.
Mhm.
In 2024, fall of 2024 is when it was brought to the town arborist's attention that the tree had been damaged. When she went out there, she saw that the damage was relative to construction of the outdoor patio area, which requires a permit.
Right. Gotcha.
And what was the damage? Was it roots ripped out or,
It was root.
and they were
damage.
big roots?
Yes, just over the 2 inches that we allow
Right.
that were cut.
Okay.
Um,
How did you find out about it?
their private arborist alerted me,
Okay.
which is why
Which
you
is-
have the private arborist.
Which is the way it's supposed to
Um,
work, right?
But I feel like if this was shown on the grading and drainage, or if it was shown on any plan, I would have plan checked it, because even if you apply for a pool, I make sure I plan check for all trees on the site so we don't have future issues. I don't like holding people up, or, I like to work through the issues before they happen. It's just unfortunate that the outdoor barbecue area wasn't shown on the grading and drainage
Right.
plan.
Right.
Two more questions real quick.
Go ahead.
Can I
Right.
just, the fee was 6,945.
To get here.
So,
Yes.
so the total was about $18,000 then, between fine and the permit again and,
Yes.
okay. Slightly below slightly, about $10,000 less than what the fine would have been in.
1,000, yeah.
Right. I just want to make sure I have the numbers right, just as long as we're going over them.
I think it's, yes, that's correct.
Somebody raise their hand. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, so I want to get her comment in. She seems like it's right here. Lisa Marie?
Yes, Lisa Marie Daly, Code Enforcement Officer for the town of Atherton. Regarding the costs for the fines and the appraisals, I have that information in front of me to give you an idea of what it would be. And to answer Commissioner Polito's question, the valuation of the tree was $21,900. We charged them $10,950 for the damages because it was half the value. Had the tree been removed illegally, then the cost of the tree would have been $42,000 in fines, roughly
It's
$43,000.
a double.
Because we double the appraised value if you remove the tree, and that's how we try to avoid illegal tree removals.
Right.
Right,
And then as the situation sits now, we're somewhere between $18,000 and $20,000.
The other thing I kind of want to put out there is that When the planning commission approves a variance, there is a condition of approval that basically says that if anything changes relative to that approval, any of the scope of work, that I as town planner have to decide whether or not it's within the range of what the planning commission approved,
Right.
or I have to bring it back to the planning commission.
Right.
In this sense, because in the staff report and the applicant's letter to the planning commission, there was reference to the tree. Had they pursued an outdoor patio permit and removal of a tree without even doing it without benefit of a permit, it's likely that I would have brought it to the planning commission for your
Right.
consideration.
Right. Yeah, that would make sense. All right.
One question for Sally. I see the mention of the 60-inch oak replacement
Oh, yes.
in the plan. Did I see that wrong?
That was what the applicant recommended,
Has- okay.
suggested. That meets our criteria for replacement.
So 60-inch, I'm thinking is about as big as a boxed oak comes, or,
That's a very large box tree, yes.
and will there be any dictation of where that's placed?
Yeah, they're placing it towards the front of the driveway on the right side as you're driving in the driveway.
Oh, it's already in,
It's, no, that's where they're recommending it.
because they
can't
have a
see
pretty
it-
good
you
size
can't see
oak
it on
that's
here.
off to the right side of the driveway
Pull the
now.
map up a little bit. All right.
I
So
can bring, that's on a separate sheet. so
Okay,
Let me change the image here and I can bring that up.
I remember that location when I visited the site.
So just to clarify, though, the patio work had been done, was unpermitted, correct?
Yeah, it wasn't shown on any plans. In an outdoor kitchen, outdoor, that requires a permit, either a multiple landscape structures permit, or it's shown on the grading and drainage plans as hardscape. So yeah, it was unpermitted. So then after the fact, that the architect, they showed me the design and then it didn't meet the TPZ. So I said, that's something I can't approve at staff level.
Yeah. So I was there, but I don't remember in the picture there, they showed the picture, sort of like the picnic tables or the tables there. Is that concrete there at that location right now? I remember seeing this sort of a rock pad where the outdoor kitchen was going to
You mean
go.
when you were on site?
Yeah.
I haven't been on site since September.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what they have put in there
All right, then I'll
since.
wait and I'll ask the applicant. All right.
1 second, I'm almost there. With the proposed location. Nope. Sure.
Yeah, so the red circle on the site plan you see right now is where they're proposing the replacement.
Sworn there was something there.
There was. Right,
We'll ask.
right.
You have more questions, Eric?
Yeah, so I just need a little bit more clarification on this. So when the damage happened, was there any discussion about getting approval for it? I was like, oh, shoot, we should have gotten approval or anything like that?
You mean for the project?
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay.
I
all right.
mean, I do feel like they wanted to get the permit. I
Yeah.
feel like they wanted to get the permit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's not,
I
maybe
can't
that's not a
speak on
question
that.
for you. Brittany.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, let's go to the public hearing first and get some more clarification from the applicant. But can you put the other map back up, so we can talk about this? Yeah, this is, all right, so this is going to be an interesting storyline because it doesn't fit the profile. All right, I'll go ahead and open up the public comment and we'll hear from you or your representative. Well, you can each talk, but not all together. All right, so come on. You stand by the microphone, so you're going the recording, and it's being broadcast as countrywide, millions of people are listening.
I think.
Yeah, you're on. Just make sure that your mouth is close enough to it to be heard,
Okay.
so Bob can hear it.
My name's Chris Franklin. My firm is architecture.
All right, better
design
hold
firm.
the microphone, close to your mouth, otherwise Bob can't hear it.
Correct.
And so I wanted to address what is rightfully a concern that planning and Sally have. I wanted to give a little background to how we got here. So, when I joined the project, I joined the project after all that went on with the garage. So I was at history and knowledge under my belt. And this project's a little bit unique. The architect, about the time I came on, architect hasn't had a lot of involvement for personal reasons. So we've been navigating the project. I think the owner has had to take on a lot more management than they ever hoped. And we've been, everybody else in the project, filling in the and I mention that only because you join a project as architects, there's an architect, sometimes a GC already in place. They are sort of like, here's the arborist, here's the structural engineer, here's the civil engineer, all been hired and you're going to work with, and they sort of create that. They have that base knowledge. So I say that because one of the concerns that Sally had, I totally understand it, brought in a different arborist for this submittal. And that is because I actually had no arborist on the project. And apparently they were doing site reviews with the GC on a regular basis. But even though I meet out there on the project fairly often, it had never come up. I just didn't know what was happening. We had designed and did everything on our work up to that point, trying to work within all the rules and regulations. I mean, I do have a long history of working with Atherton and ever been planning commission. I really try hard. I value the relationship I have with planning town arborist, and I know that they have a tough job too, and I value that process, and I'm not here on a regular basis. So we had a site meeting where the owners were saying, gosh, we used to have a patio over here with which was about in this area. And now that their house is coming to fruition and things are getting closer, like, you know, this is where our kitchen, dining room access is. So many friends' house that have dining, outdoor dining, or outdoor barbecue area, more convenient. Could we look into doing that? And so we left the site meeting. We were this was not that long before the site arborist came and found the digging. And so I said, sure, we'll go back and study it. Trees, that there's. I think that the GC was. So later I found out that there was another arborist on the project, and I guess he was telling them, well, you know, you're pretty safe. 2 inches. I think it was just like a perfect storm of stupidity. I think we left the meeting and the GC was like, oh, we'll just try and help them facilitate this patio. And then they started digging before we could, I mean, this drawing didn't exist before any of this. So they started digging, the arborist came out, flagged it. We got a call. We better hurry up down and try to figure it out. I reached out to Sally, sent her some things she had referred to planning level, and that's where this drawing appeared from. And
So who
so
did the- who
we were
did
a
this?
little late on putting a sketch together. The GC thought they were being helpful, clearly guided.
So who did the digging? What were their
The
roles?
GC,
Well, who were they?
general contractor.
Okay, so it was a person that had built the house previously?
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't the landscape contract, it was a general. So we realized like, okay, wait a minute, the cart got before the horse. And I think the GC was really far along in construction and they were just thinking they were helpful and just get all this done so that they could have a completion date for this. So it was a very unfortunate series of events. And I wish that we could have stopped it, but it happened. The owners have done everything they can. We've been told that undamaged and trying to do everything.
So there's a rock patch there now. Is it with that spot? There's some kind of
That
white.
was all demoed. Whoops.
Oh,
Sorry. That was,
okay. It's all
demolished.
demoed in place.
yeah. And
Okay.
so and as you can see, the site is a little unusual in that there's a lot of tree protection zone. Most of it in their backyard
That's
is from
actually
the
not very
neighbors.
unusual around here, but yeah.
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 I mean, for us, even for a lot of the sites that we work on, that's a fair amount. So, it's, for example, there's like about 12,500 square foot of, tree impact from tree protection zones, and 46% of that is trees. So, it was an unfortunate series of events that led us here. We try very hard to avoid them. And so now we're here addressing some of asking for the ability to put this dining and barbecue area in. And also what's happened along the way, and the owners can speak to this more, is that a lot of letters from their property insured, general contractor. They've been having clean.
Please keep talking into the microphone.
Oh, and then also, as a lot of times we see properties where the house is, the old or whatever, it's been there a while. We have been on quite a few properties with redwood trees that are nearby. And we've measured out on some properties up to 45 feet where the roots, as the redwood trees mature, the roots come out and start lifting
Right.
up the foundation.
Right.
So again, we came on late. We weren't even involved with the variance of the garage. We're just bringing to bear our information and our experience on the project off of them.
Was the general contractor all the way through?
Were they, what?
Is it the same general contractor?
Yes, as far as I,
Okay. All right.
Has that GC done other projects in town?
this is the first time I've worked with them. So I don't know exactly their history in Atherton. I know that I know that they've worked in other towns. I just don't know how.
Not enough.
I think so, yeah.
All right. All right. Any other questions? All right. We have another speaker. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick, Bob, how's the audio level on this mic on your end?
I can hear you fine right now.
Okay, I'm going to swap them out.
Thanks, Mike.
Hear me okay?
Yeah.
Carrie
Yeah.
Tomasi. Sally, I do want to thank you. Together many, a lot of time. Or by apology. Lack of communication.
Yeah, I can't hear anything now.
Oh, so I'm apologizing for what happened with the that certainly was not our intention. And then I can back up by saying house, we the house and lived in it. Trying to figure out what we wanted to do. Bought it because it felt like this little love the trees. If you scroll out a little bit, 26 heritage that flank. We have a cluster of 3 redwoods down on the bottom left there. Considered a lot of different house possibilities. Wanted to kept it a 1-story to stay in that 19 a little bit. And we did expand because of we're at the end of the cul-de-sac. It's trees. We have a really small build envelope. Fine, we knew that when we bought it. Expand the footprint a little. Okay. But wanted to meet first, trying to look. The bottom left was listed, talking to the she said, you know, if you get a map, just a plain map without the trees and everything, allowed to build that lower level. Said we have 3 massive redwood, sequoia, pines, you know, I would even want us to take the property feels. I always joke with my husband. I actually took down trees that were thick. One was the bunya was thick. Cedar was
You're glad you got rid of that one, let me tell you.
that one was also dangerous, and it did drop in our time there.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
terrifying to see. Anyway, I always get really sad when it happen, and so, but if you're recommending it. Anyway, so we wouldn't be asking to take this tree out. This is absolute last resort. But like Chris said, the handoff architect and her, there wasn't much over. Mary was great, house in the building. We never looked at the outside with her. Figure out what to do with the house. Architect and help us figure out. Chris came on. That's when we really talking about the outdoors, all this work. Just always assumed that you couldn't take out a redwood, and we didn't want to. Well, we can just have our patio pool, and you know, about that, have a barbecue exactly where it's. Took all that concrete out. Sure, now. Well, we'll just have the option is to have. As the house is now finishing, well, that's not all that convenient. A long time ago, Lori had modeled out different options. What if we put a patio right off the dining room? The thing about keeping a story ranch is that our ceilings are low. So it's dark. It's not a lot of light in the house. She modeled putting a patio right off of she did a light. It's going to make your house dark. About making the skylight, the support beams.
right.
Anyway, so then point where we said, well, what if we put a patio out here? And Chris about the redwood that they can foundation to the house. That's a little terrifying after putting all this money in the house and then possibility. Foundation.
What is it, about 40 years old, 35, something like that?
Tree.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. It looked to me like it was that 30-year plus range type thing. Okay.
And then the insurance component, gotten a letter from her saying that structure, that's a real. And then, you know, the last thing for me that I don't, is probably neither, but daughter is severely to the point where if it touches her skin, she gets bad welts. So she can't play out there. That's not, you know, there's redwoods everywhere. So you can say, well, you can't cut down every redwood tree. But the reality is that tree dumps a ton of blood red pollen all fall, you know, September until January.
Yeah.
Right in that area where we sit and play and hang out. We actually have little gloves that I put out to play. So I know it has nothing to do with the first trees are there and all that, but so that in the back of my head, I'm thinking, well, if that's not dropping pollen directly down right where we want to play, and the roots aren't going to house eventually, trees, and then we can also patio. It made sense to try to go forward, see about the option of, but like I said, I never wanted to ask to take it at all, but you know, all those things.
Any questions?
Just real quick. So, that new oak on the right side of the driveway, that's not so it's already planted then,
Planted that,
because that's what I saw today.
yeah.
Okay, so it's already in.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's right. You're right. Okay, yeah, it looked like it was new. But that's interesting too. Yeah. All right. No other questions? All right, we got one more speaker. All right. All right. All right. I guess I had one more question for you. If we approved the patio but not the tree, is that still useful or not? Where the patio was originally intended? I mean, where the kitchen was really intended? There's, right. So, well, what I'm saying is that the work was done to do that without the tree coming out. Was that? I know, but there was a plan at some point for that to be there, even with the tree was there. Oh, it was an idea and then. Okay, come up by the mic so that you're in the record. All right, and
Verbally and it was on me back to the office, have us do a study. And before that happened, the general contractor
oh,
area for,
I got it.
and
got
I
it.
was like,
Okay, got it. All right, I see. All right. Who's the general contractor? Okay. However this works out, make sure they know they're on a radar screen. Yeah. I wait till anyone else here to speak on this item? Else online? All right, good. And I'll go ahead and close the public comment and bring it back for discussion and action as appropriate. So this is like number 4.
Yes.
This is number 4 time somebody has come and said, hey, oops. The only difference this time is that you actually didn't mean to, other people meant to. Like, oh, let's do it. And then, oh, well, they'll deal with it. And if I ever go back to the December of the last year's meeting, you'll see me blow a fuse I've never blown in my life before. So, this is less than optimum for a lot of reasons, because it could have been part of the original request. And the previous location for the original patio was already there, so it wouldn't have to been approved, and it would have been not as bad a position for a lot of reasons. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There was a lot of work done on the tree ordinance, and there's only 2 trees that are in the ordinance to protect: oak trees and redwoods. And honestly, we were on the joint committee. Paul was on the joint committee, and there was a lot of, there were a lot of trees that were eliminated, and it was not without bruises to get the trees eliminated. But there were 2 trees that were not eliminated. It's tough to take down a tree that is healthy with our ordinance. But it's not a tree in the right spot. I mean, actually, the garage is actually as close as we want it to be, it was kind of it's very carefully positioned to make sure that we were protecting that tree when we approved that location, because I remember that hearing. It's just tough for me to approve this given the ordinance. And it's one of the things about the ordinance that seems to be at least forgotten by some people lately is that it's about being a good neighbor. So if somebody says, hey, I want to chop down there's 4 redwoods or 3 redwoods behind you, and I want to build a 2-story home with glass looking into your backyard, everybody goes, hey, wait a minute, what about my screening? And so the ordinance is there for a lot of reasons. One, because the community is committed to trees. Actually, I have a slightly smaller lot with more trees on it, believe it or not. And every time I cut one branch off, my wife, it sounds like my wife is screaming like her arm's being cut off. So I understand this phenomenon. But I don't know a way to justify the. So I'll listen to everybody else. I mean, there's a lot of things about it that would be better without that tree there, but ordinance wise, I don't know. Hold on, we're closed the public hearing, right?
All right, so I feel like I'm caught between a rock and a hard place because for a number of reasons. Number one, I love the redwoods. I know, Bob, you disagree with me.
Yes, I do.
And I love the oaks. And I hate going against Sally's recommendations, right? So the reason I feel like I'm caught between a rock and a hard place, because number one, I agree with you. It's a healthy tree in a wrong spot.
Yep.
When I first saw it, I thought it was a no-brainer for it to be approved for removal because of the spot that it's in, even though it's a heritage tree. Kills me to go against Sally because I know how level-headed she is and how objective she is to what she does and how her common sense approach to either approving or denying or approving with conditions, all the different rulings she's come down with. And I love agreeing with her opinion. And I thought, well, this is a tree that could come out because of where it is and with the redwood grove around it and with the trees from the neighboring property. I think the environment, the shading, the screening remain intact. I don't think it affects it. So when I saw it, I thought it was great. And hearing the cases tonight and having read it earlier today, I'm like, I can't believe this is happening again. The permit process is in, and then, to hear the numbers tonight, that if they would have just removed the tree and the fine, and now the fine for damaging the tree, but yet if we approve it, it's half the fine. And it's not a dollars and cents issue. That's not what it comes down to, but that makes me think that there's a loophole in there that we need to look at down the road. That's been enlightening. Shouldn't affect my decision. So,
Well, if any consolation, it probably costs 20,000 or more to remove the tree, but that's
true. The oak tree is wonderful. 60 inches and a box like that is a very generous replacement. Nice spot on the driveway coming in. It got my attention when I saw the property today. And I could see where you could use the extra room with where tree number 10 is. And I don't think that, when you have an acre of land or more for somebody, I'm on a third of an acre with 4 very tall redwoods. So when there's arguments of space issues, I have a hard time being sympathetic with that because of my 15,000 square foot lot and 4 of these giant 80-year-old redwoods that have a circumference of about 180 inches each. Space issues, like I said, I just don't get very sympathetic to that. I understand the water use, very sympathetic to the allergy issues for your daughter. Take that into consideration. And I think the other reason here was the safety hazard. I get that. My personal experience with my roots that have extensive horizontal root systems, I think it's far enough away from the garage that it would not pose a danger, although I defer to Sally on that, even as the tree matures. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm really anxious to hear Bob's comments because I always appreciate his point of view. And I'm still kind of going through the thought process here.
Mr. Redwood, would you like to say something?
Actually, Chairlane, can I just jump in?
Yes.
I want to remind the commissioners that the town arborist requested a replacement of a 60-inch oak and a 36-inch oak. And that was prior to knowing that the new oak had even been planted.
Yeah.
So are we still looking at a 36-inch as well?
That's what's before you right now if you do choose to approve the removal request. And so I just want to make sure that that distinction is made.
Where would that tree go? Driveway? I mean,
that would be on the applicant to provide feedback on.
all right, Bob, hey, Bob goes?
Sure.
Ready?
You can go.
Bob, go ahead.
Well, as Paul said, having had a lot of experience with redwoods, with roots, with water that they suck up, and despite how you can't give them enough water to get them to not turn into nightmares come late summer and all the way through the fall. And so the fallout from that tree in this outdoor eating area and this play area, et cetera, is going to be an ongoing hassle, staining everything, cleaning everything up, cleaning your gutters, keeping your roof clear, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That being said, if it wasn't for the fact that that's one tree out of, I don't know, I didn't count them, but a small redwood forest there, I quite frankly, again, I didn't get to see it, but I don't think that tree would be missed by anybody. And would certainly be advantageous for the family to enjoy their property if it wasn't there. That's my 2 cents worth.
Did we get any comments from the neighbors? Anyway,
No.
but everyone was noticed.
Yes.
They knew that there was a possibility of taking the tree out.
Yes.
Right, Sandy?
So, and forgive me, this doesn't really necessarily have to do with our project. I probably have conservatively 30 redwoods on my property. So, I mean, I get it. I just, either we have an ordinance, don't, either we enforce it or we don't. There are codes and permits out there. And I mean, either we have them for a reason or we shouldn't have them. I certainly don't expect the homeowner to have to understand that a permit should have been
Right.
requested for this. I don't know, is it the contractor? Is it the architect? Is it the landscape person? I don't know, but I do know it's somebody. I do not have a system here in Atherton where we do permitted work. So we need to figure out how we're going to go about enforcing that, not enforcing it, enforce it, and then when it's done and it comes to us, we say, yeah, we understand. So I think this was an unfortunate situation here, and a lot of people in that's necessarily an unusual situation. I don't know how many houses in Atherton have gone contractors, and there are people in and out, and somebody has to have the responsibility of saying there has to be paperwork. I need to check on this. What has been done? I don't have any of this. We're all wasting time.
So there's some things, all the stuff going down in LA. I've been, and my daughters are down there, so I've been thinking about this more and more. The whole fire safety thing is going to be a growing topic in town. And we all have overgrown trees, flat out, and they were all put in really smart places 30 years ago, which are really stupid places now. So the only nuance, the couple of nuances to this, this is the slightest little crack. And you need to go back and see the December meeting, just to experience what you're not getting this meeting.
Glad you got it out of your system.
It's not out, but their situation is enough different so it doesn't have to reemerge. I could see this tree going for safety reasons, for location relative to the damage to the site, in spite of doing it the wrong way. I don't know how I get 2 more trees on that site with the way it's set up. I mean, now that there are palm trees in,
Mhm.
Butch, by the way, I didn't want palm trees taken off the list because I have 2
Sorry
palm
about
trees
that.
and they don't bug anybody. The squirrels love them. This one's so close to the border for me, just because one is noticed, no one showed up against it. It's not visible from the property because of the collection behind it. The neighbor behind didn't have a problem with it. If the neighbor behind said, "Oh, good, we can chop down redwood trees," that's the problem I have, is that they come in and say, "Okay, you're right. We shouldn't have redwood trees either." And there's a lawnmower that goes down on the redwood trees, and pretty soon we're dealing with a new problem. So, I don't know. There's nothing in the ordinance that would let us do this without some kind of exception like that. Like for safety or would safety or an issue like that be a factor in terms of when we could do it?
I mean, there is a finding for safety if you want to meet that finding.
The medium term impact of that tree on that whole corner and everything else property, because it's so close to everything going on right there right now that within 5 years it'll be a factor in foundation and the just usability of that space, because those roots will generally, you know that firsthand. Yeah, you go through lawnmowers, but as they get chipped up by the roots. Brittany, I need some help on this one
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
because the downstream effect of this, I don't see. Here's the thing: is 4 times people decide to do what they want. Well, in this case, a little bit different, but 3 times before, people decided to do what they want. They said, "Oops," and it was very intentional. And it was just we'll catch up with it later. And that pattern has to stop. And if this would be seen as, okay, that's how you do it, I don't want to do that either.
One of the things that I'm struggling with that I just learned tonight is that they've already planted the replacement tree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how they've gone about this project.
Yeah.
I wish that I don't really mind what the replacement tree is. I'm not the town arborist. But that's a decision to be made by this body, whether or not that's sufficient. If they want to plant it anyway, okay, but to then exit this meeting and say, well, oh, done, that feels disingenuous.
Yeah.
And so that's not helping their case. It seems kind of repetitive in the sense that the general contractor had to take down protective fencing to do that work. There's no like, oops, we didn't know better.
Yeah. They just deliberately, they went and did whatever they wanted to do.
Lisa, the code enforcement officer, she said that they've also worked at 98 Deodora and 142 Almondra in the last 10 years. So they have worked on a few projects in town. I mean, it's only a handful, so they might not know the rules yet, like some of our other big companies.
Lisa also provided another comment on Zoom that might be useful here. She says if the tree remains and then dies within a year of the citation and original damages, the fines would be doubled.
Yeah.
Our code, that's just part of our code. So if the tree remain, and just like on the other one with the pool, the one that came before you, we discussed that if those trees came in decline, then they would get the double fine. But that's only if the tree stays, obviously.
And Lisa Marie has also pulled up that the contractor in question, their first job in Atherton was in 2008.
Mhm.
So, but we're kind of mixing multiple
Yeah.
things up here. I mean, they've been fined for taking down fencing and hacking up roots and doing some things that they should have known better. And I don't know whether, I have no way from where I am to judge whether there was any evil intent by the owner, but I kind of doubt it, but it's possible. We've certainly had it in prior cases, but they've been fined and not an insignificant amount of money. I think now the issue is it the right thing to allow them to take this tree out for multiple reasons, all of which have been covered in the paperwork that we received and at this meeting tonight. And I just don't, I think for the use and full enjoyment and full use of their property, that they should be allowed to take that tree out. Um, that's my personal opinion.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Bob.
And that would have been really nice in the original application.
Absolutely. I don't, I agree with everything that Sandy and the rest of you have said in that regard, but we are where we are, and now they've been fined for doing some bad things. Now the question is, should they be allowed to take out this one tree out of the many, many that are in that area?
All right. But all we need now is a motion.
Okay, well, I'll bite the bullet and I'll move that the planning commission deny the heritage tree, excuse me, I meant to change that. I move that the planning commission find the heritage tree removal for one heritage tree identified as tree number 10, a 31.9-inch coast redwood, to be categorically exempt from the provisions of CEQA under 15304, minor alterations to land, and find that the requests are not contrary to the purpose and intent of the general plan. And for the reasons described in the staff report, approve the draft heritage tree removal permit, HTR 24-004 certificate, subject to conditions as listed in the draft heritage tree removal.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Tonelli,
Yes.
Vice Chair Polito,
Aye.
Commissioner Levinson,
No.
Chair Lane,
Because I think it's in an unsafe position, but I'm not happy about it. So,
Can you clarify the replacements? Because when I final the project, I want to make sure I final that.
do we need more trees?
Well, the
Would be an
60 inches
additional
already in.
36-inch tree,
I'm sorry?
6-inch tree.
Oh, that's one. So there's where would that go? I know, but you have space for 36-inch tree? You can.
I'm willing to include that personally, but
Okay. Bobby, you okay with that amendment? to-
Yes, I think that's fine.
All right, then I'll say yes to that, but not willingly. And tell your neighbors to apply first, ask questions later.
yeah, talk to the contractor especially. I mean, he should know better after doing a few projects in town, especially dating back 17 years. I don't think there's really any excuse for that. I think he knew what he was doing the whole time. But I agree with Bob that the tree's in the wrong spot. I don't think there's any harm in it coming down to the neighbors. But the process has really been screwed up, and I think it started with the general contractor. So I'd really make sure that he's aware of it and make sure it, he doesn't let stuff like that happen again, because that's a very frustrating case. And I've gone against a lot of what I think tonight just because I think it benefits the property owners to have that tree removed. But to ignore a lot of the surrounding situations around it and the process is really disturbing.
Yeah. And is there any notification we can send to the contractor about this result and what we are looking for in the future?
We can certainly do outreach and let them know
All right, make
that
sure it's reviewed
this
by
was
our,
an issue.
sure it's reviewed by our lawyer before you send it, all right? Because I want it to be as firmly stated as possible. And because it's the point where I'm starting to think, okay, somebody has to be responsible for the yes or no on these. And I'm not expecting to know all the stuff, but I'm expecting somebody be in charge of it. So,
Well, that is the general contractor.
yeah, I know, but there's two sides to that coin. I've had situations where the general contractor was stuck with really a dumb design idea. Like one time we had somebody who had a custom Italian staircase that had to be delivered with custom wood from Italy in the middle of the pandemic. And it never could get here. And it stretched out for 3 years waiting for this custom staircase. And then the contractor was basically fined by the homeowner for not complying with this stupid spec. So there's situations where the homeowner themselves is driving bad performance, and there's situations where the contractor needs to either say, I quit and I'm not going to do this stupid thing, or I'm going to get in trouble. And I'm looking for us to get some real big trouble going, much more than we've got now. So, and I need somebody to take responsibility for this thing. And if it's a general contractor, fine. But in the other situation, that was not their fault. It was some super rare Italian wood that had to be done in the northern part of Italy on Thursday to make it right. So anyway, that's, you only got a part of what I did on December.
Oh, that's sense.
So, all right. Thank you. Good luck. I hope your daughter has space. All right.
Well, this
All right.
case may go down as the last one in the history of Atherton to be approved like this, with the way
Yeah.
things have been going.
Yeah.
Our patience is getting very short with some of the issues regarding the permits and things like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Be a good neighbor with the rest of the project. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you for being the way you are, because we haven't had that kind of contriteness. All right. With that,
Staff
stay for the
report.
rest of the meeting. It's scintillating, the rest of the meeting. It's scintillating. That's- Oh, did I oversell it? Thank you. All right, item number 4 is staff reports.
Sure. Town planner Brittany Bendix, just a couple highlights for you. And as a reminder, we are having a special meeting next Wednesday at 6 p.m. in this room to review the changes necessary to the housing element and zoning code package to appease HCD and hopefully get the certification that we've been looking for. In light of moving that along, I just wanted to give you an update on where we are with the inclusionary housing study that's effectively kind of been put on hold.
Thank you, Sally.
I did have really good feedback from the study session, so I want to thank you for your participation in that and the feedback that you gave me. Right now, we're looking at what additional information or analysis needs to be added or modified to the analysis that BAE provided, the timing that will take, and any sort of additional costs anticipated with that work. Once I have that information, I'll work with the city manager to come up with a timeline for moving that forward. So right now it's effectively on pause. The focus is going to be on the housing element, getting that fixed. And then in February, we're going to bring, RADA's already working on the annual progress report for HCD. That's that annual kind of tallying of how many building permits or housing units that we produced last year.
All right. And it's still looking like our plan would be approved by the state if we were to get our ducks aligned on the revisions they asked for?
Yes.
Great news.
That's really great news.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. I didn't have a staff report. Bob, you got anything out there in the, you doing benchmarking while you're out there?
No, I have nothing else to say. And Sandy, I'm not mad at you for voting. No, I understand absolutely where you're coming from. And this one was kind of on the fence. I understand.
Yeah, it was on the fence. I just to draw a line in the
And
sand.
I came into the meeting gonna blast a furnace, and I felt better about it after I saw the situation, but it's happening too much.
Yep.
We got to figure it out. We've got to figure out
We do.
Plan B. And if that's getting every developer or every contractor in the room and saying, don't do this or else, you know, you're going to be developing in the East Bay. I don't care, but I want it to stop.
It's everyone else's fault.
Yeah.
The general contractor blames the architect blames
Yeah.
the architect. I mean, I didn't know. I mean,
Right. Yeah. All right, any other exciting news?
Just next Wednesday, I will not be here in person and I will not be available via Zoom. So I will miss it completely.
So Tom is in or out?
Tom will not be present as far as I'm aware, so I can reach back out to him and see if he's able to participate. We will have a quorum with 3.
Bob will be
It's
here.
just-
Bob, you'll be here next week?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You'll be here? All right. And so far.
So
my-
no rogue votes. Just kidding.
That'll be the 29th, right?
29th.
The last day of my 71st year. You know,
Oh,
this day is like,
Oh, okay.
the odometer rolls over.
Aquarius, too.
Should we bring balloons? Yeah.
So-
After the meeting, we can have a party.
Yeah.
Also, just wanted to say, just for the record, and Sally left, but as I said when I was making my comments, I always put a lot of stock in what she says about the trees and the way she evaluates the situation. I did not like going against her recommendation tonight. Appreciate all the work staff puts in to the issues that come before the planning commission and always put a lot of weight into your recommendations as well, whether it's a heritage tree removal or special structures permit or whatever the case may be. All the recommendations you make, I always take into consideration. So just wanted to make sure that we're clear on that. And then from the commission, you and I know each other pretty well from the years we've served together and we have a feel for each other. Sandy, great words tonight and totally agree with what you said about we have to have a code and we have rules. I just thought that my initial thought when I saw that tree was like, it's a no-brainer for it to come out. And that's, essentially what I went with my gut. And Bob, appreciate your level-headedness and looking at this thing and pointing out sometimes angles I don't always see. So thank you.
You know, and I think we really do need to sometime think about the whole redwood tree in the protected status. And because that keeps coming up from the standpoint of just a tree that's not right, the great tree in the wrong spot again and again. So we gotta figure that out some way because it's only gonna worsen with the fire situation. It's gonna get much worse. So, you know, I in the tour, like going out to the 2 different sites today, or this weekend, I am sitting there going like, this whole thing would go. I mean,
Oh, there's no question.
Yeah.
And if that's what we're going to do, then that's fine.
Yeah, right. I agree, totally.
But I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
you can't just say, oh,
Right,
it's okay for you
right.
and that tree really wasn't going
Right.
to affect anything.
Yeah,
and It's going
right.
to drop things so you can
Right.
take it off, but
Right,
you can take it down. But
Right.
your neighbor, well,
Right.
I don't know. It all
Right.
depends on how we feel
Right,
that night.
right.
That's
And-
not the right way.
and in 14 years or 13 and a half years on the commission, I think we have not taken staff's recommendation
Oh,
6 times, 5 times. And you know, it's not, doesn't happen a lot. So, yeah. So, well, we appreciate the work.
yep. Thank
The
you.
same thing with unpermitted. Sorry, but you
Yeah.
have to know you have to.
Yeah,
permit.
yeah.
I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
that one was just bad. All right, on that note, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
There you go.
Moved and seconded, you're on the marquee. All right, so I'm gonna do it, all those in favor say aye, listen for Bob. All those in favor say aye.
Aye,
Oh, he's still there.
All
aye.
right, we'll see you. All right.